Hey RGV, good evening, and welcome to a live episode of South Texas Sports Network. I am your host, Jonah Alfaro, and I want to bring on my Mr. Mark Lozano. How are you, sir, this evening? One more time, one more time.
I said, "Hey, Jonah, how you doing?"
We're doing good, man. So, for those of you viewing us online, thank you for joining us first and foremost. And so today's is going to be a little different. It's just going to be Mark and I. However, we are going to be talking about something that has been talked about, is hot topic or not, for those of you watching. And so it's what is going on with TYFA, or what the heck is going on with TYFA, right? And so just for those of you that are caught up or not caught up, earlier Mark and I were on the call. And Mark, you want to tell us what you heard about lifting the ban and stuff like that on your end?
Yeah, of course, people have reached out and discussed the whole situation, and the last thing that we heard that the ban was lifted today, and that they're moving forward with games now. From that, we don't know exactly what that means, other than some games will be played tomorrow. Outside of that, there's still more information to be let out.
And so that is good news. That is great news for our
Well,
football, and right. It's we have games tomorrow, so that's win for some of for or maybe everybody, right? I'm not sure what that looks like for Wolfpack, or for the Rebels, or for the San Benito. I don't know, right? And so I Mark, I was hearing the same thing as well. But apparently, and this is, and someone who's online now, correct me if I am wrong, but the apparently the restraining order, the TRO, right, the temporary restraining order, is still in place, right? That apparently there was an appeal. There was an appeal, and the judge allowed for them to to play while everything is reviewed in court next week, right? And so as of this morning, and again, I may be saying information that some of you may or may not already know, but the 13th Court of Appeals clarified this morning that the restriction being lifted this weekend also applies to the Bronx as well, right? So that means that temporarily the Bronx will be able to play this weekend. Who's playing who? I don't know. I think, like I said, I think the good thing is, the great thing is that people are playing. As of this morning, I was told that the Bronx weren't sure who they were going to play. Maybe they are, maybe they are not. So if you are a parent online who's joining us live, in comment below. I'm curious to know at this point, are the kids playing or not, and who are they playing? One, and two, are these games going to happen, right? Because a lot of you, so some of the parents that I've reached out to, and they've reached out to me as well, it's been, hey, well, I mean, it's cool that we're getting to play, but are we really playing, right? Everybody's a little skeptical about playing, because they see this legal document that exists somewhere that we're going to show you here in a little bit, right? I've obtained the legal court document, official court document, that I'm going to share with you. But Mark, what do you think about everything, the whole debacle that's been going on right now?
well, I mean, the ones that lose out are the kids. Number one, it's a situation that you wish wouldn't happen, but it has, and that's when things really get out of hand, when people don't control what should be controlled. My experience, I brought TYFA down here 15 years ago, and there was a purpose for it, right? To give our kids
Wait. You brought
another
you brought
opportunity.
Typha? You brought Ty? Can you repeat that one more time?
Yeah, 15. I said I
15 years
brought
ago.
TYFA down 15 years ago. Yes, sir.
Mr. Mark Lozano, my co-host. brought TYFA down 15
Yes,
years
sir.
ago.
Yes,
Okay,
yes, sir.
I
Yeah,
apologize for the interruption. Go
we
ahead.
had a.
Go ahead.
Oh no, no, that's okay. We you know it was a time where we've had very few leagues, and very small. We were playing each other every year. Over and over. And one year, I just decided that we needed something else. We needed something bigger and better. And I talked to a few people here, and I told them I was going to go do that. And I actually went to San Antonio and met with TYFA. And next thing I knew, it came home, and we met with the nine original. People like Sherry Land, Bobby Polido, and Richard Martinez at Calchelsa, and Westlaco, David, and those guys, Santa Rosa, Harlingen, Sandro Martinez, all the big nine. And, we decided that if we didn't do it then, we're never going to do it. So we hopped on board. And, I thought it was going to take us maybe 2 or 3 years to give the boys an opportunity to get really, really going in the playoffs and having an opportunity to play for a state championship. And the Huerquitos did it in the first year. Harlingen and Westergo, they won state championships. And for me, that we reached our goal, my goal anyway, for the kids. So I wound up stepping away after that first year, and I let everybody else run with it, and things went really well. I mean, Typha has a soft spot in my heart because of that. But we're getting back to the situation is, there had to be something had to be held, or somebody had to be held accountable for the situation. I mean, I know, back then they had the rule where you had to have four teams within your org
Right.
in order for everything to come together. And whether they, allowed them to play with less than four teams, hey, so be it. But I just think somebody has to be held accountable for the whole situation because it should have never happened, right? And again, the ones that lose out, the ones that suffer, the ones that get, excuse me for lack of a better word, but get screwed over are the kids, and that's a shame. I just hope they can get everything back on track and get moving forward on it and get back to what they were doing, playing football.
You're absolutely right. And so, back in the inception of TIFA, back in whenever you brought it down to now, you fast forward to 2025, and there's a restraining order. I don't
Yep.
know how many times that has happened in the league's creation from the time that they've been down here. I don't know, but for me this is a first, and so I want to so this is where we're at now, right? And so what people may or may not realize is whether it be Sherryland, whether it be any other organization, the Hidalgo Pirates. How did this come to be, and why are we in the situation now, and why is my child not playing? Well, I
Well,
mean,
like I
technically
said,
they're playing this weekend, right?
right. Well,
For this weekend.
again, yeah, again, somebody dropped the ball, in the whole situation. And one of the things I've always said in everything I've done, I have a long tenured, experience in the game. I've been around it all my life. My dad was a high school coach and coached in college. So, for me, coaching, teaching, and playing it, I've been around it 54 years. And then the other six, like I said, my dad was a coach. So, somebody dropped the ball. Somebody has to be able to step up and say, hey, you know what? We screwed up. Let's fix this, you
Right.
know? But then, egos get in the way, pride gets in the way, and things don't get resolved the way they should. I just wish that we could do that, take accountability and clean it all up again for the kids because that's what this is supposed to be for. I think sometimes we forget that all these things that we do are for the kids. It's not for us. But it's hard sometimes. We get caught up in everything and all the competition and things like that, and it takes a toll. But again, hoping that we realize what it's for, and that's for the kids. I mean, that's the bottom line. You can say it 1,000 times. You know,
And so with that thought in mind, ladies and gentlemen, I want to move forward with what I was going to present you in the beginning of this first live South Texas Sports Network. I'm going to screen share something that you or may have seen. But before I do it, before I do so, I want to let you know that the document, this legal court document that I am about to share with you, is public record. Right? You can officially Google it. You can officially. It takes about 25 clicks to get there. It's kind of hidden, right? As most legal documents are. However, it exists, and it truly gives you a better understanding as to what happened, how it happened, and what are the rules or the restrictions set forth that may or may not be done. Okay, and you're like, well, what do you mean it may or may not be done, man? Because we have a game tomorrow in the morning or whatever age division you have. But just be cautious, right? So I am going to share my screen at this point. Okay. Okay. So this here is the document, right? That is shown. And so if it's not story time, y'all. It's not read along with South Texas Sports Network time, but it is important to talk about this, right? At the top, it says Joshua Thompson and RGV Bronx, a division of. These are the plaintiffs. This person here are the defendants: Texas Youth Football Association, Brian Morgan, and Michael McCarthy, right? And so okay, so let's start with section one. Okay, section one goes off to say Joshua Thompson, hereinafter referred to as Thompson, is the father of a football player who plays football for the RGV Bronx, a division of TYFA, and Thompson complains of defendant TYFA and defendant Michael McCarthy, president of the Southern Division of TYFA, who is a resident of Hidalgo County, Texas, and who sought to remove the Bronx from play. The Bronx are undefeated after 5 games against other teams in the Southern Division of the TYFA, which is not yet in mid-season, quote unquote. The young men are playing on a 11 and under team, 11U, and the RGV Bronx have also fielded a 9 and a, well, I think they meant to say 7. Oh no, a 9 and 9, yeah, 9U team. The officers and parents of the Bronx were informed after playing and winning 5 games that they would be disqualified unless they paid a $500 penalty for playing the teams without also fielding a 7 and under, or in this case, a 7U team. The Bronx agreed to pay the fee and continue playing the season. They were then advised that they would be disqualified regardless of paying the fee for not sponsoring a 7U team. The same date, October 2nd, 2025, the Bronx signed up 15 boys to play on a 7U team who were to begin playing. After notifying the officers of the TYFA organization for the district that they were ready to resume play with a 7, 9, and 11U team, they were then advised that they were not, that they, that they, we not, no, that they were not to be allowed to play regardless of the payment of the fee requested and regardless of their sponsoring 3 teams, 7, 9U, and 11U. So in a nutshell, Bronx provided the boys, right, and the fee, and even after that, TYFA still opted not to let them to play. Okay, everyone following? Next paragraph. The decision making process was guided and effectuated by Javier Villa, who fields a team called Westaco Pride, so that his participation in the determination of the right or permission to play is being governed by an individual with a clear conflict of interest in that his team is likely to have better results if the Broncos are not permitted to play against his team, since they have shown themselves to be excellent athletes. Um, I'm, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to go back to take a quick pause, but I'm going to bring the screen share again. Mark, what the hell? So then there's people from Westaco Pride that are on TYFA that had to do having the Bronx not play. Is that true?
I mean, if they're saying that,
I'm
you
so
would,
I can't make things up
yeah,
if I'm just reading, right?
right,
Did you
right,
did you
right,
hear the
right.
same thing or no?
Yes, yeah,
Okay.
I
I
heard the
I
same
I,
thing.
I just wanted to make sure. Okay. Back to the document here. Oh, shit. Okay. Um we left off at additionally. Additionally, other teams have been permitted to play in the division without sponsoring or fielding multiple teams. So are you meaning to tell me that aside from the Bronx, there was somebody else? Specifically, the Sherryland Rat are being permitted to participate in league play despite not fielding multiple teams as well as in El Paso team. So that's not so that's that's not fair. I mean, so you're meaning to tell me that you're meaning to tell me that okay, so you won't let the Broncos play, even if they've already paid the fee. They've come up with the 15 players to fail the age groups. So now you're telling me that Sherryland Rattlers and El Paso team are on the same boat, but they're allowed to play one and two. You're telling me that they're not being upheld to the same standard. What the hell is going on? Right, Taifa.
That's
That's
what the document says.
I'm again. I can share I can put the link up and tell you exactly where to find it. You know, I don't want anybody to be coming after me like, hey, well, hey, this guy said. All I'm gonna do is copy and paste whatever you have and send you that exact same information. Right. Getting back to this document. Um, Section 2. This court has jurisdiction over this matter and venue is proper in Hidalgo County, Texas, in that all of the Texas teams engaged in conflict are participants in Hidalgo County, Texas. And okay, we're gonna skip this part because it shows addresses. I'm not that guy. Okay, I'm not that guy. So the plaintiffs seek damages of more than 100,000, but less than 250,000. Next section. The TYFA is a league which organizes and sponsors elite football teams and enters into agreements with teams to participate in organized sports. One of the teams was the Bronx, a division located in the Rio Grande Valley. Other teams relevant to this suit are the Sherryland Rattlers, who are playing without a full roster of teams, and the Westlaco Panthers. The Westlaco Panthers, you mean Westlaco Pride, maybe? Yes? The coach of a Westlaco Panthers team has conspired against the Bronx and worked to disqualify them from participation. TYFA informed the Bronx that they were out of compliance with the rules for not having a 7, 9, and 11U team, a regulation unknown to the parents of the Broncos played who had recruited, outfitted, and coached 60 players on the 9U and 11U teams. So the parents didn't know, right? And I get it. But my question to the Bronx is, did you know, right? Did you know that you had an actual that you had an actual date, right? So the answer is most likely going to be yes. Jonah, we knew that we had a date set forth that would possibly penalize us if we did not meet that standard, right? Okay, so if that's what happened, the date passed, right? Typha said, "Hey, you know what, Bronx? Hey, I gave you the opportunity. Y'all are done. You cannot commit to the to having the age groups, the registration, the commitment, whatever you want to call it. So y'all are done, right? Okay. So then now what, right? Because so Typha, why would you allow the Bronx from the very beginning, knowing that they did not have the roster requirements? Why did you allow Cherry? Why did you let the El Paso organization? Right? those are questions that need to be had. So I'm Taifa, I'm also going to tell you something. Had you had you from the very beginning, hey, you don't have enough players. I'm sorry, Bronx. Y'all have done as good for a season. However long the Bronx have played there. But you don't have it. You don't have it. I assure you, we would not be in the situation. We would not be having these court rulings, documents, this podcast live, right? But because you decided to move forward with that, you're now in this situation, unfortunately, right? And so, but then it's like, hey, well, you're going to have parents on the Bronx when this happens that aren't going to understand. And right off the bat, Mark, they're going to be like, hey, well, hey, if we're not playing, you got to give us our money back. You got to give us our money back, A or B. We go somewhere else. Or if three, you're loyal, non bandwagon jumper, then you're gonna hold on and hope that everything goes well and that this turns out favorable for the kids, with them. And so back, okay, um, right here, they were advised that by payment of a $500 fee for each of the 5 games they had been played thus far, they would be permitted to continue. After which the determination was changed, and the Bronx were told they would be disqualified, despite the payment of a requested fee, despite having recruited 15 players for a 7 and under team, and indicating they would proceed with 3 teams as demanded. The failure to permit the Bronx to participate in the league while allowing other teams to participate without a full slate of teams is a breach of contract under which the Bronx began to play. Who's right and wrong here, gentlemen? In addition, the TYFA organization is stopped. Is that what it says? Yeah, it says organization is stopped to claim that the rules of the organizations are applied equally in light of the fact that the Sherryland Rattlers are permitted to play a 5U flag team with no other teams in their organization. The conduct constitutes breach of contract for which TYFA should respond in damages. So this just tells me that Sherryland is playing with the flag team and no other teams in their organization. Next session. Next section. In addition to breach of contract, Michael McCarthy, defendant in this cause, has tortiously interfered with the business relations of the Bronx and TYFA by being instrumental in changing the rules and encouraging others to prohibit the Bronx from participating in the league, and has gone farther to solicit members of the 11U team to transfer to other teams to destroy the 11U team of the Bronx. Plaintiffs will show that team members received emails on Friday, October 3rd, 2025, advising that members of the 11U team of the Bronx could transfer to other teams because it was not yet mid-season, and that they could do so until 5 o'clock p.m. on Monday, October 6th, 2025, thus interfering with the team and its organization, which was formed and ready to continue playing. So these are heavy. These are heavy words here, man. In what states Michael McCarthy is doing. And so for those of you online that are joining us, yes, this is a legal document, but then it's also one of those where it's like, hey, well, but what if Michael McCarthy is innocent, right? Well, I will tell you that there was a hearing before this, and that in order to be able to process or to put into effect this TRO, there has to be enough and sufficient evidence to be able to put these words, to put this evidence into paper, right? And so I just want y'all to know that before eyebrows start raising up, and it's like, hey, but what are these guys releasing? And I've never seen this before, so it may not be true. Just because you've never seen it before doesn't mean it's not true, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. And so going back to story time. Um, Let me see. Council for Broncos notified TYFA on October 3rd, 2025, that the conduct of TYFA. Wait, hold. I'm not sharing this. I know I'm not. Give me a second. Give me a second. Give me a second. Okay, here we go. Um, Council, here it is, up at the top. Council for Bronx notified TYFA on October 3rd, 2025, that the conduct of TYFA and its representatives was unacceptable and would result in litigation if the matter were not resolved. Thereupon, the emails were forwarded to the individuals playing on the 9U team of the Broncos, inviting them to forthwith transfer to other teams to interfere with the relationship between the Bronx and TYFA, for which Michael McCarthy should be liable for tortuous interference with business relations, resulting in damages resulting from the parents of the 9U, 11U teams of Bronx have equipped the teams and coached the teams incurred expense of formation and management of the teams. Okay. This is and this here are the actual reprimands, if you will, restrictions, whatever you want to call them. It says the following: plaintiffs seek a temporary restraining order after evidence and a hearing, stuff that I just said moments ago, a temporary injunction precluding defendants from further injuring the youth who are the children of the parents involved in the teams in the Bronx and causing further financial damage to the parents and youth of the Bronco teams, and would show that the defendants should be immediately restrained from, here we go. Number one, take action to remove the Bronx from play in the TYFA League. Number two, contacting the members of the 7, 9, and 11U teams of the Bronco, encouraging them to transfer to other teams. Number three, harassing any young athletes on the Bronx by calling names and insulting the children as losers and other inflammatory language. Number four, permitting or encouraging any further play by any teams. I'm going to start from number four again. Permitting or encouraging any further play by any teams in the Southern Division of TYFA until the resolution of the conflict with the Broncos and the TYFA happen, right? So I understand every single one of these. But this one here, number four, permitting or encouraging any further play by any teams in the Southern Division of TYFA until the resolution of the conflict with the Bronx and TYFA. I'm going to take a quick stop sharing the screen. Number four. So, what that means to me is so because the Bronx and TYFA are at each other's neck, you meaning to tell me that kids for Hidalgo, as in the lower valley, I don't even know if the Willacy County Gators are playing nowadays, but it's Brownsville. Sorry, you have Brownsville, the Cowboys, right? Why is it? Why would it have affected them? So, but two, why did it? The Harlingen, the Brownsville, San Benito, Donna, none of these people have any skin in the game, right? Why were these children punished last week? Because two people were going at each other's necks. Now, as far as I'm concerned, and I've talked to a certain person on the Bronx, right? And I've posed the question: out of those four restrictions that were named just now, why not get rid of the fourth one? Why affect everybody else? The phrase that I used is is very common in our culture, in Hispanic culture. Por uno las llevan todos. It should not be like that. And so it's frustrating. It's upsetting. It's a lot of things that it shouldn't be because people weren't doing what they were supposed to be doing. Mark, you want to jump in and just a little something? You got something?
Well, I mean, those things happen when people are looking at their own interest, right? And most people are looking at what's going to happen right now, not what's going to happen tomorrow. So the things that are going to happen tomorrow are situations like that. Who else is going to be affected? Who else is going to lose out because of if I do this, if I do that? They're not thinking about that because they're thinking about their own self interest and what they want to get out of the situation. So when you do that, these are the type of things that happen because you're not looking at tomorrow. And of course, ultimately, again, I'm going to say it a million times. The ones that suffer are the kiddos, man. They want to play, let them play. It's an adult thing. You know, it's something that should have never happened if the guidelines were followed from the beginning. And if you made concessions through the season, well, then stick to those concessions and work it out amongst each other. Don't go in there and bring the hammer down when this is what's going to be the outcome. And again, the outcome is because you're only thinking about your own interest and what's happening today, not tomorrow. And these things are happening. It happens in everything, everyday life, right? When we make decisions, we don't think about the consequences of tomorrow or next week. We're just thinking about right now. But in this case, again, the kids are the ones that lose out.
And so I just want to set something straight here. And someone's to blame, and so it's not the kids, right? That we do know. Um, but if the Bronx were in the situation, and then you get everybody involved in there as well, I pose the same question. If there's issues filling seats or helmets with the Bronx in the beginning, the Rattlers apparently only had 5U. There's another team in El Paso that is doing the same. So there's more to it than meets the eye, right? And so what everybody on here can knows and can relate to is throughout the last what 2 years maybe, even if you go as far back as 3 years, comparison to what TYFA has had then to what TYFA has now, it is not what it used to be. So the question is, well, what's causing this change, right? There's another league, right? Texas sports, where the best compete, right? And so people are starting to make or have they did make the jump, right? And so that affected TYFA. Look, people people aren't going to be happy all the time. They're going to want to look for the bigger, badder things, and so and also for the opportunities that their kids may not be getting on their respective team. And so um, the future of TYFA is concerning for the Rio Grande Valley north. Up north, that's but down here, it's becoming less. It's becoming more and more um, consistent that they're having issues filling teams, age groups, what have you. What's going to happen in 2 years? In 1 year? What's going to happen after this season? This already left a very sour taste in everybody's mouth, from coaches, parents, kids. What's to say that they go elsewhere and that TIFA stops being a thing? Just kind of like Pop Warner was before even TIFA was a thing down here in the Rio Grande Valley. Right? We don't know, but what we do know is that there's troubles in paradise. Right? It's not looking well, and we hope that there's a solution, which is, I guess, filing an appeal and playing this weekend. Right? Back to story time. That's we're nearing the tail end of this, and then We are going to see if we can take any sort of questions. I haven't taken a dive into the chat just now. I see an influx of things coming in, and so Mark, go ahead. You
Yeah, I
want?
want to say one thing, and I mean, people that know me, I wear my heart on my sleeve. I speak from the heart. You know, and sometimes that can get you in trouble, right? But one thing too that through the time that I've been home, this the probably this is the longest I've been home in a while, and the things that I've seen, on both sides of the fence is for me is when you see a team, not only what they're going through in TYFA, but in the other leagues, is when you have a team that only has 11 boys and they're playing a team that has 25, and you expect them to perform for 4 quarters and hope and cross your fingers that nobody gets hurt so you can play with those 11. Those things have to change. And there's ways to do it. Where there's a will, there's a way, and you have to have the experience and the background and the knowledge to do those type of things so that you can accommodate those leagues, or excuse me, those teams that lack kids. And but that's when people want to do it, and that's something that needs to change, because that's not fair to the parents, it's not fair to the kids, it's not fair to the organization when you go in there and you try to pump up those kids that to win a game, which you're looking at the percentages of doing it is almost nil because just the lack of numbers, right?
Right.
And you try to keep them pumped up for 8 games, that's kind of hard, you know. So hopefully we can get that change, for the sake of the boys.
What's the solution, Mark, to something like that, man?
Ah, that's a what? How could I put it? Old Chinese secret. Uh,
We'll leave it at that.
yeah, we'll leave it at that. They'll find out soon enough.
All right. So back to back to the actual screen share before we come back. Um, okay, give me a second. Here we go. So we've kind of already talked about this year about the restrictions 1 through 4, and then so it goes off to say plaintiffs respectfully request that the court, upon receiving the pleadings, grant a temporary restraining order and set a reasonable bond and set this matter for a hearing on a request for a temporary injunction within 14 days. Upon final hearing, herein, upon final hearing, plaintiffs seek a permanent injunction against TYFA League, precluding them from unlawfully excluding teams from play in the league, and require that the rules of the organization be applied. Plaintiffs further seek damages for breach of contract and tortious interference with business relations. And so, as you can see, there's signatures. This is a thing. A last thing that I did want to share before we get away from TV time here is, let me see if I can find it. Let me see. So if you go to the very bottom, right? This is another, I guess, document, but it states here, right? It is further ordered that the application of plaintiffs for temporary injunction contained in plaintiff's original petition and application for temporary restraining order be heard before the above entitled court on the 23rd day of October at 8 a.m. in the courtroom of 370th Judicial District Court of Hidalgo County, Texas. It tells you, they paid $100. Judge Mancias is the one that signed this, and so it doesn't get any more real than this, ladies and gentlemen. And so I think it's important to note, my question to those of you viewing is, what's what's next for what's going to be the next move, right? What's going to happen after those of you that are watching this live broadcast? What happens after tomorrow's games, right? If you go, oh shoot, sorry. So if you once you finish the game, what's going to happen after October 23rd? I mean, is it going to go back to suspending the games to where nobody gets to play? Are they going to uplift everything? Is kind of what I'm hoping for, and I'm hoping each and every one of you is hoping for the exact same thing, right? But the truth is that we don't know if this has already been set before us. Who's to say that it will not continue, right? So it's like, hey, so if you're just kind of tuning in right now, well, Jonah, you're talking about stuff that's already old, man, because the kids are playing tomorrow, right? Well, if you rewind about 30, 40 minutes, you would have heard that there was an appeal that lifted that restraining order that I just read to you word by word for this upcoming weekend, right? Does that entail the rest of the season, the playoffs? What's for certain? I don't know, right? But what I do know is that on October the 30th, we're going to find out, ladies and gentlemen, what's going to happen because, well, and
Is it the 30th or 23rd?
sorry, the 23rd. I said the 30th, right?
Or 23rd. Yeah, yeah.
So it's yeah, it's and you just saw it as well. Is the so now Mark, you got anything you want to say?
No, I mean, I think you covered it. Maybe on another note, we'll be doing our show on Sunday night, and we're going to bring in the guru of youth wrestling and let him come on and talk about all the great things they're doing and the clubs that they're putting together in the Rio Grande Valley for the kids, which is a hell of a sport for these kids that play football. You know, any other sport. It's a great sport to get into. It's a great sport to have fun with, and it teaches you a lot, man. So I'm excited about having Raymond on next on Sunday.
And so yes, I agree. I want to bring up a a comment just now added to the broadcast. I'm gonna make it a little bigger. This is from Armando AJ Rodriguez. The rules were written and made and have been there way before this year. Orgs know the rules. They didn't follow it. But if TYFA wants to stick to their guns, then they must disqualify Sherryland and the El Paso team. They can't just target one. If not, then just let them all play.
Well, that would work if they would have done it from the beginning. It doesn't work
Mark, but
if you
why
do
didn't
it.
they, man? Why didn't they do that from the beginning?
That's a
You
question
brought Taifa down. You brought Taifa
that,
down.
that
Back.
that's a question that you have to ask them and who's overseeing it. You know, in our area. You know, in the southern district of Taifa. Because like I said, it's in the rules. It's in the guidelines. I mean, it's from been there since we brought it down. So whoever allowed that to happen, that's the question mark. Why? And then to do it when they're 5-0. You know what I'm saying? Why wait now? Why didn't you do it when they're 1-0 before the season start? Why didn't you do it when they're 3-0? Why now?
Mark,
And those are questions that haven't been asked.
let me put it to you this simple, man. Or maybe anybody out there watching, can you tell me if the Bronx right now were 0-5, would we be having this conversation right now? Yes or no?
That's the $60 million question.
I mean, because if the Bronx are as good as they claim, which a winning record, and they have certain accolades, right? Uh, um, what happens if they're 0-5? Would there have been a hissy fit, right?
Right.
Would
Well, somebody allowed them to keep playing even though they knew they didn't have all the divisions. I mean, if you knew that they didn't have all the divisions, why wasn't it not taken care of from the beginning? Not even let them play, or you've got one org that's missing teams, and you got another org that's missing teams. Well, hell, you know what? Bring them together. Now you got all the divisions that you need to play in the league, and that's that. Barring that they want to do it, of course. Both both entities need to be willing to do it, but that would have been a solution right there. Or there's other solutions, but you got to work on them, right? But for some reason, they didn't follow that guideline. And like I said, the gentleman that posted, or whoever, excuse me, maybe it was one of the moms, but whoever posted that, you would be correct if they would have stuck to their guns, but they didn't. They did not allow them to play because they were lacking teams.
As far as I'm concerned, if for a split second, ladies and gentlemen, and Mark, if you can just bear with me, if I was TYFA right now, right, you saw that the Bronx, that the Rattlers, that El Paso didn't have enough kids, right? Then you stop them. You don't give them the green light to play at all, right? That's what you do, unless you don't want to be perceived as a league that is losing numbers because they've already lost a ton to Texas sports, and so hey, you know what, man, we just gotta hey, it's okay. Like, let's start the season. Well, you'll get the kids, right? You'll get the kid. The hell they did, right? But Bronx showed that they did try, right? And they paid fees and all this stuff, and they still gave him the middle finger, right? As far as I'm concerned.
Right.
So um, it's a hard lesson learned, man. And so as far as I'm concerned, este, I'm just glad that the boys and the girls, right, are going to be able to cheer, to play football, to play flag, whatever it is that they're doing. It would be good. So so final thoughts, okay, and this is kind of important to me because I did think about this, and I did think of how to encompass everything, right? So as we close out today's episode, um, I I want to leave y'all with something that weighs heavy, not just on the minds of the parents and the coaches, but more importantly, on the hearts of the young athletes who dedicate their time, right, their energy and the passion for the game. TIFA has a responsibility, right, and it is to, and it's not just to uphold the rules, right, but it's also to apply them fairly, right? Do it fairly. When the team season is halted because they didn't meet the requirement of the age groups and what have you, but yet another team in the same league or two is allowed to continue playing without meeting those criterias or that same requirement. We have to ask, where is your accountability and where is your consistency? It lacks. Rules are only strong as they're enforced. Okay? And justice only exists when it is applied equally. Right? And so, ladies and gentlemen, Mark, so this isn't just about football. I don't know if y'all have realized this, but it really isn't. Right? It's about teaching our kids what integrity looks like. It's about showing them that doing the right thing matters, because I guarantee you what's happening at home. Little Juanito is asking, mom, I want to play, I can't play, but why can't I play? Parents, what are you telling your kids? No, es que
Well,
se metieron en un dilema y no puedes jugar, or TYFA doesn't like us, or I mean, what the heck, dude? What's how are these kids perceiving this information to what these parents are telling them, right? You know what I mean? And and so to me, it's also um, doing things um, that are right, even when things are difficult, right?
Hey,
Uh,
doing things right is tough. That's that's when you need more leaders, and not followers, because being a leader is lonely, man. I mean, you stand out all by yourself a lot of times. It's like, I'll give you an example. When I talk to parents and kids, and they look at a group of people in one area, and then they look over here to the other side, and there's only one person standing there. Comments are human nature. You say, well, those 10 or 20 people, they're all together, they know what they're doing, right? They know they're the good one. We need to go with them. But if you think outside the box and you see that one person by themselves, says, well, hell, you know what? Maybe this person knows something that those other people don't know. Maybe they're the ones on the right track. Maybe they're the ones that we need to check out and give them opportunity to see what's going on. But most of us don't do that, because you get so comfortable being in that box that to step out of that box is hard. But if you give it a chance, that's when doors open. That's when things are resolved. That's when people step up and take accountability for a mistake, which is hard to do.
yeah,
But
right.
if you can do it, if you can do it, that ends everything. Everything is stopped and halted, and you can get back to what you need to do.
And so that fairness isn't and should not be selective, right? So that's when you suit up and you step onto the field, you're just not playing for the wins, right? And just kind of going back to that, people aren't playing just these kids aren't playing just for the wins. So what TYFA is thinking, hey, well no, let's maybe vamos a castigarlos a todos, maybe let's do this, and por una la llevan todos, and all these things. So it's not just about playing football. You're taking away discipline. You're taking away teamwork. You're taking away the kids' trust, man.
Accountability.
Dude, if that didn't get you to the core, then I don't know what will. But we can't expect our kids to believe in the system if the system does not believe in fairness, right? So let's just call for transparency. Let's hold these decision makers accountable. And above all, let's remember that every whistle blown and that every play that is called and every policy that is enforced will impact a child who just wants to play the game that they love. So let's do better for them.
Hey, go back to the bad news bears. Just let them play.
And that's exactly how we'll end this live edition
There
of
you
South
go.
Texas Sports Network. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Jonah Alfaro. I am your host. My co-host to this side, Mr. Mark Lozano. We're here to bring you stuff that matters, not only sports, what's going around in the Rio Grande Valley, but also stuff that matters to our region. Right, we are one after all. Right. So until next
Yeah.
time, we'll see you. Stay safe and be good. Thank you, everyone.
Peace out. Yes, sir.